Vlad Duthiers is with us from Brussels. Vlad?
Jamie and Meg, exactly as you reported, Belgian authorities have now released the man only identified by authorities as Faisal C. They say that they don't have enough evidence to hold him. I want to bring in Guiliana Paravicini from Politico Europe. She's going to join me here to talk about this. Julia, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
What do we know about Faisal C?
Basically, we know that he worked as a kind of journalist. We found a video he shot out of a prison protesting about detentions of Muslim citizens, Muslim people. And prosecutors believe he might have even attended one of their press conferences. But so far, they couldn't find any evidence that could link him back to the airport attacks, although for many days, media have been reporting that he could have been the man with the hat, namely the third attacker with a beige coat and a hat.
And that picture that we've all seen of the three people captured on surveillance camera, there was that one man in the beige outfit, the white outfit, and the black cap, and authorities and many people had believed that this was him. Turns out it's not him.
Yeah, he had been initially charged with terrorist murder and participation into a terrorist organization, but then this afternoon, the Belgian prosecutors told us that they couldn't find any evidence, and so he was released. So no charges on him anymore, apparently. What
do we know? Apparently, he was a fixer of some sort. He had done a documentary at one point. I mean, what was that all about?
I mean, we searched and we tried to find any article that he had signed, but we couldn't. So he defined himself as a journalist, but all we could find is this piece of a video you showed before of him being outside of a jail at night reporting about detainees' conditions. That's all we could find about him. And yeah, we know he lived here, and he's from, I think, Moroccan descent. That's all we know.
Right. Let me ask you about Salah Abdeslam. We spoke to you last week when you were able to report on Politico Europe that Belgian authorities had essentially at one point only questioned him for about an hour. What's next in the investigation, given that Faisal C is now not a part of this investigation? Salah Abdeslam remains the only real link that Belgian authorities have to this attack. What more do we know about what's next for him?
I mean, we know authorities questioned him after the attacks on Tuesday, but he remained silent. And we know that his lawyer, Sven Marie, asked immediately after the attacks to extradite his client, Salah Abdeslam, to France. We believe because they are afraid that he might be charged as well for the Brussels attacks. So they're going to try to get him out of Belgium as fast as possible. And several sources confirmed to us that he stopped talking to Belgian authorities as soon as the attacks occurred. So he's not cooperating. And now what's next is extradition, I guess. I mean, the lawyer is in favor of it, so the Belgians will have to give him up and hand him over to the French.
What are your sources telling you about the fact that perhaps the arrest and capture of Abdeslam led to the terrorists moving up the date that they plan to carry out the attacks at the metro station at the airport?
As we have reported, many people, many officials believe that his capture actually speeded up the whole attacks. On Wednesday evening, investigators found a testimony of Brahim El-Bakraoui, one of the airport's attackers. And in this one-page testimony that was on a computer, one of the sentences that they read us out was, "We have to move on. We have to move quickly. We feel cornered." And investigators interpret this as a sign that they had to accelerate things because they felt they found a safe house, they captured Salah, so we got to do it now.
We got to move forward. Were they perhaps worried that he might give information to the police about the details of those attacks?
I think, yeah, you're right. That was one of the fears. I mean, we cannot speculate about what attackers thought, but probably this is also an element that triggered to speeding up the attacks because they were afraid maybe Salah is going to sell us. And so we got to move before they catch us, before they're on us.
Now, we went, my crew and I, to the neighborhood in Molenbeek, the street in Molenbeek where Salah Abdeslam was captured. Clearly, these communities very tense right now. A lot of reporters, a lot of cameras in their face. We had an altercation with a couple of people there. They asked us not to film them. You've reported from these neighborhoods. It's a lot easier, obviously, when you just have a notebook and a pen. But can you explain to our viewers why perhaps some people are frustrated about the media coverage in these neighborhoods?
Well, I think because suddenly Molenbeek is under the spot of the whole world, and the fact that there was a very numerous Muslim community there, it's not something new. The fact that many people linked to the Paris attacks and the Brussels attacks used to live there, it's not something new. So they feel like, why only now? Why don't you come and, you know, pay attention to us, or why don't authorities pay attention to us before something as terrible as the attacks occur? So they feel under siege, I think, the people of Molenbeek, and they're kind of annoyed. And also because, in a way, many officials believe that they protected Salah Abdeslam since like the Paris attacks, and so they feel like, why are you all on us? Like, leave us in peace. Our community is already all over the place, and we don't want all this media attention.
Right. You say that people suspect that they perhaps protected Salah Abdeslam. That's not been proven. They say, a lot of people we've spoken to say, we didn't even know he was here ourselves, but that is perhaps the speculation that a lot of people have.
I mean, what we were told from investigators and what we reported is then when the police got into the apartment where Salah was being hidden, the woman who probably owns the apartment had friends over to have tea, and they had ordered a lot of pizzas, which is how investigators caught them. And they seem very relaxed about it, about having, you know, like Europe's most wanted man in their flat. And so one would think, okay, but if everyone is not aware of this, how come you're so relaxed? And the neighborhood is very small, everyone knows each other, so I think it's very unlikely that no one in the neighborhood was aware about him hiding there. Also because let's not forget that his whole network is there. Like, this is where he grew up, his friends grew up, many of the attackers grew up, so that's where his stronghold is. That's where he would naturally go back.
Guiliana Paravicini with Politico Europe, thanks so much for joining us here in Brussels. Guys, we're still at Place de la Bourse. You can see that behind me there are a lot of people here. And one thing I want to point out before I toss it back to you, we've seen an increased police presence on the streets. There are several police officers, several police vehicles on the street. It hasn't been like this since the early days, since the attack. I don't know if it's probably too much to point out to perhaps our Thurston, our cameraman, to show you behind this group of people. There are officers here, there are some officers positioned to the left of them. There are police vehicles blocking the entrances into the square. At each side, you can see police vehicles positioned there. So we've been asking several of them what it is, that why it is that they're increased their numbers here on the streets. So far, we haven't been told, but we're going to be keeping an eye out. Jamie, Meg?
Vlad Duthiers and Guiliana Paravicini, both for us in Brussels. Thank you both so much.